Hi guys, Ted Rankin here again with another quick unboxing video, and today we're going to be looking at the Moroso 20548 Road Race Oil Pan and the Moroso 2293 Windage Tray. Both of these are designed to work with the 4.6 liter and 5.4 Ford modular motors. And so here's the oil pan. Part number right there. Comes in a nice big box. And then here's the windage tray right here. Comes in another nice little box. And we'll just do a quick unbox. We'll look at this, and not much to them, but if you haven't seen one of these things and see what kind of makes them tick, what makes them different than another oil pan, maybe you'll find this interesting. Hold tight and I'll get right to the unboxing. So let's start with the oil pan first. The 20548 will fit on all years of the 4.6 liter and 5.4 liter modular motors. It's made of steel and it's coated with zinc plate. And get this stuck in there a little bit. Hold on. There we go. Some pretty basic paper packing. Paper. Okay. So it comes with some nice instructions. Of course, some stickers. Got to have the stickers, I suppose. And then here's the pan. There we go. So the thing about this pan, the Road Race oil pan, is that it has 4 trap doors in here, 4 baffles, if you will. In the sump to ensure that oil is available in all cornering conditions. So, you know, on acceleration, on deceleration, left and right, of course. And I'll pull off the camera and get you some pictures down inside here so you can see the trap doors down in here and get an idea. Maybe even I'll pull the screws out and the whole upper tray comes off on this thing. But if you look down in there, you can kind of see there's 2 trap doors, and they're kind of positioned in a diamond pattern. And so that's important for me, making sure that I have oil in all cornering conditions. It has an 8-quart oil capacity, so if you're running a high volume oil pump, you're not going to suck this thing dry. It retains the factory oil dipstick location. It has a drain back plug for here, for if you're driving a turbocharger or a supercharger that is cooled by the oil from the oil pump. It has, let's see, a fitting for a oil temperature sender here on the side. It also includes a magnetic dipstick that comes with it, and it's pretty deep. This is 6.5 inches. Canton offers a similar product that is 6.25 inches, and I probably would have gone with that because every 1/4 inch matters when you're lowered down as far as much as we're dropping these Mustangs. However, I've had some bad experiences with Canton in the past. The oil pan that I got from them was so warped that even when I properly torqued it down all the way around, it still found a way to leak, and I ended up using a whole bunch of you know, gasket sealer and stuff. So it just wasn't great. So anyway, that's why I picked the Moroso, even though it's a little bit deeper than the Canton was. So let's grab that next box here. And here is the Windage Tray. There we go. Not going to be a whole lot to see here on this thing. There's the Windage Tray. Bag of mounting hardware. The price on these things seems to be pretty wild. Certainly on the oil pan, I looked all over the place. I ended up getting this from Amazon for $329 thereabouts. Prices were $400 something, and this is about the lowest I could find, and that was on Amazon. For the Windage Tray, I was a little bit closer on price. This ended up being around 82 bucks. Let's have a closer look at the Windage Tray now. And this is really all there is to it. It's stamped steel. It is a simple louvered design. It's made out of 14 gauge steel and is zinc plated. It includes all of the mounting studs and nuts. I paid roughly 82 bucks for this thing. There's some slight variation on the internet, depending on where you look. The variance is not as great as I saw with the oil pan itself. So the thing that's going to be a little tricky with this installation is that it requires you to use, here we go, 2 layers of gaskets. So there's going to be a gasket that goes between the oil pan and the Windage Tray, and a gasket that goes between the Windage Tray and the block. Now that just opens up this whole thing for potential leaking. You know, stamped steel parts, you can't control them as well as certainly a machined material. And even in this, I can tell there's some deflection in here, which you would think will get all pulled straight when you bolt it up. Maybe, maybe not. I've seen some problems before, like I had mentioned with the Canton oil pan. But in this one, I can see there's at least maybe, you know, an 1/8 of an inch or something. So is it a problem? We'll find out, I suppose. I am not sure if I'm going to be able to use my block support system, my DSS block support system. And I'm thinking the quick answer is going to be no. The way this goes together is like this. And then the block support system sits on top of the girdles. And I just don't know if there's enough clearance here. I don't think there is. I won't be able to do anything until I mock it up. I don't think that this is going to be a huge loss for me if I don't have this. I'm not making that great a power. I'm expecting maybe 550, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's not going to be monstrous. So I don't know that this is important. The thing that's going to happen in the future, in the very near future, is I'm going to an aluminum block. Maybe that makes a difference, maybe it doesn't. But the aluminum block has 4 main studs and then of course the jack screws on the side, so it's probably not an issue. Let's do something really quick here. let's take out the top tray. I'll show you those baffles a little bit better. I just have to make a mental note to myself when I go to put these back in. They do have a little touch of Loctite on there of some sort, some thread locker, just to make sure we don't have anything backing out. So the pickup that you have to use for this, it remains the same. You don't have to use an aftermarket pickup of any kind. Okay, and that just lifts right out. And there's quite a bit of machine oil in that thing, but it's not a big deal. Okay, so let me do this. Let me pull you off of the stand and we'll get some closer pictures of this. So here is the baffling system. So this is the front of the pan. You can see it's in a diamond shape. So there's a door here, a door here, a door here, and then of course there'll be one left down in this corner. And so the idea is that, you know, you have all of this oil in here, but as you're doing your hard cornering, braking, accelerating, that you will always have some oil down inside here where your pickup is. So you always kind of have a reservoir here, and it won't slosh all the way to one side or the other, forward or back. And that's kind of it. That's what it's all about here. I think that's it for this one. Please let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you need any more information. I'll be happy to answer back. Just put a note down in the comments. So until next time, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and until next time, have a good time. Hope to see you guys very soon. I've dropped the oil pan down, and now I'm just gonna prep the mating surface. And depends on if you've had somebody in here before, how much silicone you're gonna find up in here. You know, you're always gonna have it in the corners, in the front and the back. Front and the back, you always have that. And it just depends on how much they put back up in here. This is pretty clean, but this is probably the messiest part of the job, I would say. You know, just because you've got the remnants of oil dripping down and it continues to find its way, even though I've wiped it down. I don't know how many times now. But I've got some brake parts cleaner, and I've used my razor as much as I can back up in here. You know, you just want to be really careful up on these aluminum pieces that you don't gouge them, of course. And I've got some Scotch-Brite. I will wipe that down with some Scotch-Brite and some of that brake cleaner. Get that all cleaned up, and then I'll move on to prepping the new oil pan, which is going to be something. I'll show you that in a little while. I'm going to start prepping the new oil pan and the windage tray. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart, pull this out, and then give it a good clean with some brake clean. There's some machining oil down here, and I can feel there's a little bit of I don't know, factory funk in there. So, you know, like that. I'm just going to clean all that stuff out. Don't think it would do any harm to the engine, but you know what? Why not do it? So here's the funky part of this whole thing, and that is that, so this, to use the windage tray, you have to do gasket, windage tray, I've got it on there right, and then you have to do another gasket. So I've got some ultra, instead of doing ultra black, I'm doing the premium max flex because of the stamped steel. I'm thinking this might be a better choice just while I'm torquing things down. To prep this correctly, you'll see there's these little tabs on here. Those have to get cut off. There's some little, I've got this on here backwards, there's some little nubs on the back here. So essentially all this stuff has to come off because the oil pan is wider, the flange is wider, nothing lines up right with them on there. So I'm going to prep the gaskets, get them all set so they sit flat, and then what I'll do is I'm not going to put gasket sealer all over the place. I think my plan is just to run an outside bead. I think just on the outside around the mounting holes. I think that'll do it. And then the other thing is, I'm not sure if I'm gonna use the studs for the mounting or if I'm just gonna stick with the regular bolts. I haven't decided on that. I guess it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I don't know that it serves any extra benefit having the studs and having to take off the, is it 16 bolts or 16 nuts if I use the stud and nut thing. I don't think that there's any additional advantage to using these flanged nuts as opposed to just this. They seem to be about the same. I don't know. I'll figure out one or the other is going to happen. So I'm going to get this all set up and then we'll start putting that all up back in place. Setting up the oil pan and the windage tray. The gaskets are going to be kind of a mess. I suspected that from the outset of this. So what it looks like is that on the bottom gasket, what we'll have to do is so these are the Felpro. Let's see if I can get this here so it makes some sense. There's a tab here. Can I get that on the black? And there's a tab here. If I can get the camera on it there, tab here. There's a tab here, a tab here, and a tab here. So on the bottom gasket, I'm going to leave the 2 side ones on. Leave the 2 side ones on. On the front bottom one, this is going to have to come off, and the 2 rear ones will have to come off. And then what I'll do, see if I can get this thing kind of lined back up again. Sorry. Kind of put a locator in there. And that and that. Because what you'll see is when I put the second gasket on, is that if I go to compress this, this tab, which locates to the block, is going to bottom out on that. I don't think you can see it so good, but that'll bottom out on top of that one. So that bottom tab's got to come out. And the same thing is going to happen back here. What happens is you put the oil pan on, and you can see, if I can get there, it is right, where's that tab? It's right there. Sorry about the crappy video here. But you see, with that tab there, it won't seal. And the same thing over here, what happens is that is right there at the same height as the cutaway, but you gotta put the gasket on top of it, and all of a sudden now you've got the one bottoming out on top of the other. I mean, is there enough clearance? Probably, maybe, I don't know, until I actually get the thing cinched down. But rather than find out the hard way, I'm gonna go ahead and just cut those tabs down, and I'll leave the ones up on top to locate to the block. You can see there's some funky warpage to the gasket itself. It's bowed, and then here's the side one on the top. You can see, obviously the top one is going to have the side tabs cut off. That's not going to work at all. Yep, same thing over here. Same for the front tab. No bueno. So the side ones are going to have to come off on the top one. Hope that makes sense. Not much of a clear road map, but you'll see. I don't know. Is this thing just gonna be a leaking pile of mess? I don't know. Hope it's worth it. We'll find out. There seems to be a problem with the windage tray, and what I'm finding is that, if you can see, that's my dipstick right there, and if I push this guy up, can you see what's happening there? It's hitting the dipstick, and it's really pushing it way up. Can you? And that is, I can't move it left or right. It's pretty well placed right where it should be. All right, so it looks like, what is this? Part number 2. I'll grab it really quick. So it looks like that's going to have to be clearanced. And that is our part number, what did we say that was? It is part number 22933. Well, that blows. Okay, a little extra work here. FYI. Well, the windage tray saga continues. This thing does not work. And I'll show you. So there's the water pump connection where the pickup goes. And the problem is, excuse the extreme close-up here, change hands, is that if you get this thing hooked up over there, the pipe hits the windage tray right there, and then, god dang it, it's hard to do this. I need an extra set of hands. But then there's a gap up here. Well, right now, because it's also hitting, it also hits the pan. It hits the pan here. Let's see if I can get that in that hole. There it goes, that's in. This thing does not work. All right, well, garbage. and I am past my return period. I guess I'm stuck with this lump of junk. Alright, that's it. I would not get this windage tray unless I am doing something completely wrong. The pickup, I thought, well, maybe it's supposed to run under here. No way. There's no way that works. There's no way that works. It gets hung up here. It just doesn't work. The dipstick hits in the wrong place. That's got to be clearanced. It's wrong. All right. Well, damn it. I'm frustrated by the windage tray. It's not going to work. And I'm looking at the Canton windage tray now, and it looks like it'll work. And they specifically call out the 2V versus the 4V. They've got a couple different models, and it looks like it would work just fine. Problem is, I'm going to be building an engine this winter. I've already started building the parts up to do that. The blocks down being machined, and I was going to use a 4V oil pump with the billet gear drive in it. And so my oil pickup tube would have to be different. Canton has two different trays specifically, one for the 2V, one for the 4V. In this current configuration, it's the 2V, because I'm using the 2V oil pickup oil pump. So I guess I'll put this together with no windage tray. Fine, whatever. I don't know. Frustrating, but I guess that's how it goes. That's it. The oil pan is in, and that was a lot less fun than I had expected. Here we go. I know it's a crappy video. I got a lot of stuff in the way. There we go. Let's see if I can't. There we go. So we'll see. I've got the gasket in, no windage tray, because that just ended up being a whole mess. I guess we'll find out if I'll get a different one for the new motor or what I will do, but anyway, it's an oil pan and it's in. Moving on to the headers.